I'm Tommy Tran with the breaking news out of the NFL, where the Cowboys have made Brandon Aubrey the highest paid kicker in NFL history. It's a 4-year, $28 million deal with $20 million of that guaranteed. That's the latest from our JJ. Aubrey has been named All-Pro each of the past 3 seasons. He's made more 60-yard field goals than any kicker in league history, 3 of which came last year. He's now signed in Dallas through the 2029 season. There's the list of most guaranteed money by a kicker, and Aubrey now eclipses Harrison Butker for that title. I'm Tommy Tran with Jonathan Jones. JJ, what more can you tell us about the Cowboys and Brandon Aubrey today?
So the Cowboys had slapped a tender on Brandon Aubrey. They sort of dared anybody, come try to sign him to some offer sheet if you want and send a second-round pick. Brandon Aubrey is worth a second-round pick, certainly worth that in the 2026 draft, even though he is a kicker, because he is a game changer, because the Dallas Cowboys, if they get a touchback and get a first down and a couple more yards, they are in scoring position. They can get 3 points with the leg of Brandon Aubrey. And so they hammer out this deal with Todd France, the agent of Brandon Aubrey, who happens to be the same agent as Dak Prescott. He helped make Dak Prescott the highest paid player and quarterback in NFL history. He now helps Brandon Aubrey become the highest paid kicker in NFL history, $7 million per year on average. He's locked up there in Dallas, and it's a great move, an obvious move for the Cowboys. This is what they've wanted, and in this new age NFL with the new dynamic kickoff, you need a guy like Brandon Aubrey.
I think you hinted at it, but one more before I let you go, in terms of just the sense of what we're talking about, right? Because at one point, Aubrey wanted $10 million a season. There was a deadline last week that if he didn't get it done, 5.6 was floated out there, so this seems to be something in the middle. Did you get a sense that anything was going to even be close to that $10 million from any other team in the league?
No, not $10 million. That wasn't happening. I'm not entirely sure that that's what the agent was pushing for, but in terms of being the highest paid, he could have been the highest paid at $6.5 million and won, right? So they wanted to go up. Was it going to be 8? Was it going to be 9? Obviously, they settled at 7, something that, unless there is a huge season that we are not anticipating from a kicker this upcoming regular season, Brandon Aubrey is not only the highest paid kicker in NFL history today, but probably a year from now as well.
Our thanks to JJ with the breaking news on Brandon Aubrey and the Dallas Cowboys. Much more NFL, of course, coming up.
Welcome back to With the First Pick. 3 days from the actual NFL draft. Here's Jonathan Jones, our CBS Sports NFL insider. His one and only mock draft. After talking to folks around the league, this is what Jonathan thinks is going to happen. And I'll just say this. 2 years ago, JJ was only one of the few people on planet Earth, Lee J likes to take credit as well, that had Michael Penix Jr. going to the Falcons. So JJ knows what's up. And let's get JJ back in here to talk about some of these picks here. JJ, I'll throw it to you. You can start wherever you want. I feel like you got number 1 right, but let's start with number 2 on the Jets and why you have David Bailey, David Bailey going over Arvell, for example, to the Jets.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Ryan. Yeah, we had the Michael Penix Jr. going 8 to the Falcons 2 years ago. Didn't have Shedeur Sanders in the first round last year. Got a lot of heat on that. Was right. So we'll see about this one.
Talk your talk, JJ. Talk your talk.
Nor should you have. I'd love to tell you how confident I am in this mock draft, but there really are some real wild cards, and it's at 2 and it's at 3, right? We do believe it's David Bailey or Arvell Reese at 2. And you're going to look at the Vegas odds, you're going to look at the prediction markets, you're going to hear one thing from one person who's in the know with the Jets and the other thing from another person. It could be either one of these guys. I stuck with David Bailey, who is a little bit more of the ready-made player. As one source said to me, Arvell Reese is going to be a fantastic talent for the next Jets head coach. The point there, of course, is that it will take time for him to blossom into the player that everyone believes that he has every potential to be. Do the Jets, does Aaron Glenn, do they all have that sort of time to do that? And so that's why I went with David Bailey there. I reserve the right to change that as we learn more over these next couple of days. But really, frankly, honestly, the wild card is number 3 at Arizona. You are going to hear time and again that the Arizona Cardinals want to number 3 overall pick. We know that. It's obvious. Are they going to get what they want for number 3 in a draft that does not have a second quarterback that you would take at number 3? Is someone willing to give up, to move up, what Monty Ossenfort may want? How far back do the Arizona Cardinals want to go? We know they have plenty of holes to fill this season. So I think that with Arizona is a little bit more, it sounds nice. Are you going to be able to find that dance partner? Will Arizona get what they want? Will they take Jeremiah Love at 3 if they don't trade back? I think that is a very convenient thing for the Arizona Cardinals to threaten for two teams like the Titans and the Giants who could take Jeremiah Love. So we'll see. I had them going with Francis Mauigoa because of the tackle guard flexibility. Yes, there is a concern with the neck/back, but everyone I talk to says that with the medical rechecks, he should be okay. Ultimately, though, we're all waiting to see what Arizona does at number 3.
Hey, Rain, let me ask you as our resident supporter of running backs here. So we have
Go ahead, Pete,
Mauigoa.
You can start while he's doing
Off the selfie.
Mauigoa makes a ton of sense. We've talked to him a few times, and we're sort of we're buying what he's selling. Arvell Reese makes sense. Sonny Styles makes sense.
Who's we, by the way?
Me and Ray.
I'm speaking French over here. We.
Yeah, you'll get in a moment. We'll get Pete's very unvarnished thoughts. And then Jeremiah Love. Is that too rich for a team that obviously needs quarterback help as well? But to JJ's point, when you have a ton of needs, you really can't go wrong no matter who you take.
Yeah, see, that's the trick, and I'm glad JJ laid out the full plan of all the possibilities for Arizona at 3. But if you're the Arizona Cardinals offense and you're looking at this is going to be some form of the McVay, Shanahan, LaFleur variation of this offense with Mikey LaFleur being the head coach, the one thing that you got to understand is that they have to be able to score points in that division to have a chance to win with all those offenses that can put up numbers. What's the one way that they're going to be able to do that at 3 is by adding an explosive offensive playmaker that will allow them to score points. Whether you agree with it or not, for them it makes a lot of sense to take Jeremiah Love at 3. It gives them an offensive weapon because right now, even if you go and you figure out a way to get Ty Simpson, and you take Mauigoa at 3, how are you going to score points? Who on this Arizona Cardinals offense that you're going to say is going to create explosives for you? We hadn't seen it out of Marvin Harrison Jr. yet. The other receiver, Michael Wilson, who's performed really well, but he's not putting up points. The tight end is really good. Trey McBride is really good.
Well, let's start with the quarterbacks. I mean, there's your problem.
And so for them, if you go back, and again, I always lean on my experience, that first year when we were in San Francisco, and I'm drawing a blank right now, but our quarterback was what was his name? Hoyer.
Hoyer.
Brian Hoyer was our starting quarterback. Yeah. We willingly went into the year with Brian Hoyer as our starting quarterback, and we're hoping to add playmakers. So I think there's a world where they may skip quarterback this year. They don't necessarily have to do it, but you're still going to need those playmakers. You signed Elijah Wilkinson, who can play right tackle, but
sort of.
Yeah.
Yes, but here's the thing. If more than anything, if I'm Tyler Algier, you know how pissed I am?
Right.
I was going to get to that point. He had a 1,000-yard season in Atlanta, and then they draft Bijan Robinson. You signed a 2-year deal knowing that you're going to, or feeling like you're going to be the starter in Arizona. Yeah. And then now they potentially draft Jeremiah Love. At that point, I would just count my money and just say, all right, it is what it is at this point.
But to me, that's why Jeremiah Love doesn't make sense. And me and Rand actually had a phone call the other day talking about this. Tyler Algier would feed families in his zone scheme. And he did it in Atlanta before Bijan got there. And he gets with Michael LaFleur, who runs that same system, and he's like, all right, I finally get to be the guy. Now there's these rumors that Jeremiah Love could be potentially the number 3 pick. If I'm Arizona, and if I can't make a trade within the top 10, I stay at 3. And I'll probably take Arvell Reese just because of the upside. We're talking about them putting up points on offense. Their defense struggled last year. Now, they had a lot of injuries, more specifically in the secondary. But with Arvell Reese, now, again, people in Arizona will say, well, we've dealt with hybrid players before, because Collins they took a few years ago. Isaiah Simmons. So they've struggled with hybrid type players. But to me, Arvell Reese, you can move around, and I think he helps your defense from day one. They had really trouble. They scored points last year. They just couldn't stop anybody.
All right, JJ, you want to weigh in on the anti-Jeremiah Love sentiments?
Well, and just this one thing, and we're talking about the draft, and we're going to talk plenty about positional value. If you haven't heard enough about it, you will continue to. Number 3 for a running back in any draft is rich. We understand that. We appreciate that. I'll say this, because of the rookie slots, we know exactly what the number 3 overall selection is going to make over the next 4 years. $50.5 million in guaranteed money for the number 3 overall pick. That would be more fully guaranteed money than any other running back in the NFL. More fully guaranteed money than Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey. The list goes on and on. Whatever Bijan Robinson ultimately signs for, it would be more money than that. And you have to factor that in when you're talking about team building and team composition. The Arizona Cardinals with Tyler Algier would, if they pick Jeremiah Love at 3rd overall, would be paying their running back more than any other running back in the NFL.
So, Pete, I want to get your thoughts on this, and then I want to get to JJ's pick that I'm about to set up here. So he has the Cowboys trading from 12 to 8 with the Saints to take Sonny Styles. So you okay with that? They still keep their 20th pick, by the way.
I think Sonny Styles might end up being the best defensive player in this draft. And so if you could get an opportunity to go up and get him, I think you do go get him. And you look at the Cowboys. They need a linebacker. I mean, they need a guy who's going to be a playmaker. I don't know if he's going to be there when that pick is, when that
even
trade
at
is
8?
made.
He might be going by 8.
I think he's in play at Tennessee, particularly if Love went 3. I think he would be the pick in Tennessee because you get a Fred Warner. That's what you get. He's comparable to Fred. I'm not saying he's Fred Warner.
Could be.
When I said he would be Fred Warner, people say, well, he didn't have the interceptions in college like Fred Warner did. Okay, he didn't. But again, it's a projection, and I'm projecting he will play like that. So, but if you could go up, if you're Dallas, like JJ has them doing, and they go up and get Sonny Styles, that'd be a great deal for the Cowboys.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that, in order for Dallas to have a chance to, if it's Sonny Styles that they want, the only spot for them to go is number 3. Right, because you got a division rival at 7 and you got a division rival at 5 that could all be in play for Sonny Styles.
Correct.
And for those very reasons where Pete's saying he compares him to Fred Warner, well, guess what? Washington has a need at that position as well that runs the same defense at 7. So you're rolling the dice hoping and wishing that he's going to be there at 8.
If they go to 3 and Reese is sitting there, they would take Reese rather than Styles because I think the way they're going to put their defense together, they need a stand-up rush guy in that 3-4. So
Talking about Dallas.
Yeah. I think
well,
if you go from, see, you talk about those division teams because it makes sense, but if you went to 3 and Reese was sitting there, I don't think it would be for Styles. I think it would be for Reese.
Well, let's get JJ's thoughts. Were you reading the tea leaves, JJ, trading from 12 to 8, or do you have a little more insight into why you made that decision?
So the difficult part about going to 3 is you'd have to send the 20th overall selection as well. And Dallas has so many defensive needs that I don't see Dallas. They want 2 first-rounders out of this draft, okay? So I don't see them going to 3. A place that has been mocked for a lot of Dallas moves is 6 with the Cleveland Browns, yes. Could Sonny Styles absolutely go to the Giants at 5? 1,000% he could. Could he go to Dan Quinn and the Washington Commanders at 7? Absolutely. I'm sending Cardinal Tate there because they have an aging Terry McLaurin whose contract they can get out of after this year. Maybe they're going to get some remnant of Brandon Ayuk, but they can't guarantee that, and they're going to have to pay. The quarterback Jaden Daniels very likely next year. So go ahead and lock in your wide receiver right now. That's why I sent Cardinal Tate there at 7 to Washington. So could Sonny Styles still be there at 8? And that is a small enough leap from 12 to 8 where you don't have to give up 20. That's why I did that. It makes logical, rational sense, but it all depends on Sonny Styles being passed up by 7 other teams. And I will be the first to admit that very well may not take place on Thursday night.
Yeah, I'm with Jay. I think at 5 is where he starts to be in play for the New York Giants. I mean, just imagine.
I think he's in play at 4.
Just imagine him and well, if Reese is there, I think Tennessee would take Arvell Reese.
I would argue that.
Interesting. Okay.
That's interesting.
And I think we know somebody who knows people in Tennessee.
That's all you're allowed to say, though. You can't say any more than that.
We all got family members in Tennessee.
Yeah, we do. Talk about your family.
You know my kids.
Your daughter gave you that information. What are you talking about?
But the Giants, just imagine Terrell Edmonds and Sonny. They'd probably be the 2 tallest linebackers. Tremaine Edmonds at the Giants. You just lost Dexter Lawrence. You got to shore up the middle of that defense.
But
those 2
McFadden's
physical.
coming back off an injury, and I mean that's.
But he's coming off an injury.
He was a good player when he was on the field, so everybody else comes off an injury, we automatically assume they'll be good players again.
I think he's in play at 5 for the Giants for sure.
Let me ask, why do you think Pete doesn't like Dexter Lawrence?
No, I do like him.
Doesn't sound like it.
I'm not giving away a top 10 pick. I'm a big picture guy. You look down the future, you want your draft picks.
All right, let's take another quick break here, and when we come back, we'll check out more of JJ's final mock draft here, and we'll get to some of those picks right after this break.
And his glass.